Welcome to today's real estate how-to video. Today I'm going to show you how we will 3D motion track using After Effects and Premiere Pro to motion track a white place marker on top of this house. So let's check it out. So I've got my two clips here. I've got them back to back. Now we want to be able to see, of course, which house we're trying to sell here. So we have to stick a little place marker above this guy. So let's do that. We've got our two clips here. I'm just going to right click, replace with After Effects composition, and then we'll hop over to After Effects. We see it highlighted here. So I'm just going to click on it, and then I'm going to go over to the right here. I'll just close this over to my tracker. If your window doesn't look like this, you probably are in another mode, different layout or something like that. So just make sure you click on default at the top here. Make sure this one's blue. And the right here, you should see the tracker. So we're going to make sure that we have this highlighted again and click track camera. And we wait a moment. We can actually see the progress if we highlight this and then go to our effects tab. Yeah, okay, you can see how many seconds is left. 28%, okay, we're getting there. So while that takes place, I'm going to go back into my project folder here, and we see the white place marker which I brought in. You can see it's just a very basic PNG file that I've got here. We can grab this guy. We'll bring it in while that's still tracking in the background. And you can see when I bring it in, the anchor point is up here in the middle. So let's just change that. I'm gonna hit A on my keyboard to open up the anchor points, and I'm just gonna move this guy up. So the tip is right at the bottom, and that's where our anchor point will be. Okay, the tracking is done, so I'm just gonna blank this out for now so it's not a distraction. So here I'll highlight our clip again, go back into your effects control, and you'll see your 3D camera tracker. Everything looks like it's done. So let's see what kind of results we have here. I'll just click on it. You can see all these tracking points now that it found in the video. If I turn this off, the video, you can see, if you kind of watch it with your eyes, you can see the different depths and the planes that it's picked up on. So this might be a decent track, but we'll see in a second here. So basically I want to put a place marker on the top of the subject house that we're working on here. I believe it's that guy. So what we want to do is try to find a plane where we can put our place marker to ground it, to create a solid to stick it to. So I'm just going to click on a few of these guys just with my left mouse button on this guy. And I'm going to hold down Control and then click a few more that are along the ground plane. See, it's kind of triangulated these, so we have like kind of a flat lying object here. The only problem is if you were to click something like that, obviously this isn't the ground plane that we're looking for. So just so you know the difference there. But I'll click on a few of these just so we have lots. You see how it's on a funny angle. So once I start to build these out, it should triangulate, and then we'll get a nice flat surface. I'll even go back here. This looks like it's along sort of the same ground plane. Okay, we'll try that out. We see it's not near our house, but we can fix that. So I'm just going to right click and create solid and camera. So now we have this object here. I'm just going to slide it along the planes. One thing I'll tell you not to do is don't just click on it and grab it around, because we don't really know where it's ending up in 3D space. So I'll just hit undo here. As long as we use these arrows and slide it along our ground plane, then we know that it'll stay accurate. So I'm just going to put it closer to that house. So let's just imagine it right now. It's sitting on the ground. Obviously we can see this object going past these houses, so it's not going to look accurate. But the bit that's on this ground plane, that should look accurate. So I'm just going to hit my space bar. Yeah, you see how this point doesn't move off the ground? You can see it moving along the tops of these houses because it's going through these objects, but the thing that we're concerned about is seeing how accurate it is on the ground. This looks really good. It looks like this giant triangle, or this giant square, is just laying there. So now that we have something there for the computer for us to stick things to, we can just leave that there, and I'll turn that off so we don't see it. Now I'm going to bring in our place marker that we had, and it's just kind of floating up here. So right now it's a 2D object, but we need to make it into a 3D object. So let's click on the 3D object here icon. So now you see it has these 3D operators, so we can manipulate it in 3D space. The only problem is it's just floating. It's floating around somewhere in 3D space, and we don't really know where, so we have to tell it where to go. And that's why we have our solid here. So let's grab this guy, and we got the pick whip here. I'm going to hold down shift and then click on the pick whip, and we're going to drag it to there, which is going to glue it to that guy. Now when I play it, you see how it's flat on the ground? Okay, now we need to get it on top of our house. So I'm going to just zoom in a little bit here. Okay, so let's get this guy to stand up. I've hit R to open up the rotations for this place marker. Now along the X rotation, let's get it to stand up straight. So we'll go just 90 degrees. And now it's standing up. So let's just make sure we got the right house here. I'm looking for this guy. So I'm going to drag it along the ground because we're on the ground axis right now. I'm going to drag it until it hits just this edge of the house, or where I guess it is anyways. I think it's about there. So now that I'm at that edge, I know where this is in 3D space. It's sitting in front of that house. I'm gonna go straight up until I feel like I'm along that roof line. The roof line kind of shoots out this way and this way. So I think we're about level with that. Now I'm gonna try to drag it into the house. This is probably somewhere in the rafters of the house right now, so I'll just pull it up a little bit more till I feel like it's probably on the peak. That should be close. Yeah, that's pretty darn good. You have a close look here, you can see the point of it's just barely drifting from that vent. But I mean, that's really accurate. Once I zoom out, you're not gonna notice the difference. Yeah, okay, so we see which house we're talking about here, but we got quite a bit of snow, and it's the object we put in, it's white, it kind of blends out with the snow. I'd like the place marker to grab your attention faster. When I do real estate videos, I cut them pretty quick just to keep things exciting. So let's make the place marker spin a little bit to grab your attention. So as soon as you see this clip, you see that thing spinning right away, and you know exactly which house we're looking at. So let's go to the beginning here. I think it's the Y rotation. Yeah, let's do that. So the Y rotation, you see as I drag this, it spins the place marker. So we just want to animate that. I'll put this back to 0 here. So this little guy does increments, degree increments, or we can do full rotations on this guy. I'm going to undo a couple times. So we're going to just focus on full rotation. So I'm going to start our stopwatch there and put in a keyframe. And then I'm just going to drag to the end of this clip. I'm going to see what 3 full rotations looks like. So that's making this place marker spin around 3 times around the Y rotation. That looks pretty good to me. It's not too fast and it's not too slow. It's just letting us know where that house is. So that's good. And I kind of don't want it there instantly. I want it to fade in a little bit just to look good. So let's click on our white place marker again. I'm going to hit T for opacity. The other alternative to doing that is just opening up as you would regularly and then under opacity. But to take up less space around here, I generally try to use these quick keys. So T for opacity. Let's click our keyframe there. It started one at full opacity there. I'm just going to drag that into the future a little bit there. And then I'm going to change this to 0. So that should fade in from 0 opacity to 100%. A little bit of drama there now. Okay, I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Cool, I really like it. So I'm going to close this and I'm just going to hit save. We're going to hop back over to Premiere. We can see that guy. Now even this clip's a little bit long for my liking, so I'm going to trim that up, but we'll take you through one more clip right now just to show you so you have the gist of it. So here we got one behind the house, and the one I'm looking for is this guy right here. Yeah, that's the one. I know there's a giant hot tub in the backyard. It's hard to see from here, but oh yeah, you can just barely see the hot tub. That's how I know which house it is. So you click on this guy again, right click, replace with After Effects composition. And this guy's popped up here now, so I'm just going to make sure it's highlighted. Again, click on our track camera. And we can see it working up here. So while it does that, I'm going to hop into my other composition that we just worked on. And I'm going to copy this guy because it's already got the rotations and stuff. I don't want to have to do that each time. So I'm just going to hit copy or Control C. Come over to our new one here, and then I'm going to hit paste. And since that's just floating around and it's just floating around right now, let's just turn it off. That was just something to do while we wait for the camera tracker. Momentarily here, it should be done. Okay, so sometimes you'll see the little track points already there, and sometimes you won't. So if you don't see them, make sure you have your clip highlighted here and then click on your camera tracker. So this is an odd situation. Usually the bigger tracks are closer to the camera, but it's not seeing things quite right. So let's go into the advanced section here. It's seeing that as a flat scene. Let's see what typical does for us. That wasn't a good track. Okay, this looks a little better. See how these track points closest to us are larger, and then as we get further away, they're smaller. This is more accurate. There's something about the camera angle and the software got confused there. So even though the average error bumped up to 0.2 pixels, on the last one I believe it was like 0.13. Usually you want a lower number, but it just seems to like this more. Every situation you're going to track, or every clip, it's all going to be different. So moving on. Sometimes you got to fiddle around with it. So we got our house right here, we said. So in this case, I can get a good plane along our roof line. I think if I click on this guy, this one and this one, that looks no good. There we go. Now it looks flat. So it's got flat target inside our attic here. So let's try and right click that guy. Create solid in camera. It's gonna be a little bit bigger. Okay, let's see what we got. Doing pretty good. It looks like it's stuck to the top of that house pretty good. Now you can see, of course, the trees passing under it, which makes it look inaccurate. But if you actually focus on the details, as though it were stuck to that roof, it looks really good. So that's going to be a success. We'll use that. So let's take that away. Our place marker that we were playing around with before, let's turn that back on. So now that there's a 3D camera, see how this thing's floating around? So we gotta glue it to our track solid there. So let's do that. I'm gonna again hold down Shift, grab my pick whip, and then take that to our new solid. So now when I play it, you see it's spinning around, but it's not sitting the right way. So we can fix that. I'll take this to the beginning of its rotation here. And I'm gonna make sure this is highlighted again, hit R for rotation, and we see we've changed up our position in space here. We're still at 90 degrees here, but this guy, as we copied and pasted, it made these inaccurate. So let's change it to 0. And then we see him standing up there. Okay, it appears as though we can ignore these other numbers, but if it's laying on its side or doing something else goofy, you gotta play around with these numbers, these angles, until you get it where you want. So that looks really good. Let's make it bigger. And I'm just gonna compare it with my other composition to make sure it's visually about the same size. That looks pretty good. Okay, now I just want to get it a little more centered on that roof because it looks like it's leaning a little bit towards the back right now. So let's drag that there. I might need to bring it up a bit. No, that looks really accurate. Okay, we're gonna go with that. And that is how you put this white place marker on top of the house. I'm gonna hit save. From here, we just wait a moment for it to catch up. Have a look at our other one here, how they tie in together. Oh, we see, got a little mistake there. We kept that fade in. I don't want it to fade in again because it should already be there. Let's go back to After Effects. I'm gonna highlight this. I'm gonna hit T, so we have our opacity timer there. I'm gonna make sure I'm on the 100% side, not on the 0% side. So keep your guy here, and then just turn off the stopwatch, and that got rid of those keyframes. Okay, so now that faded. We'll save that. The fade-in's taken care of. Gorgeous. So that's how we track a white place marker and give it a rotation animation on the top of a house in a real estate video.